One of the simplest ways is to realize that we are more or less stuck in 21st century normal these days, where our nervous systems, our bodies and our brains are stuck in a sense of sort of constant fibrillation and overwhelm just from the pace and the rate of things, from the phones in our pocket to the 24/7 news cycles to the global economy and everything else that we're connected to. And it's shorting out our circuits. Most of us are suffering from what you could call sort of micro PTSD, sort of perpetual chronic stress that we never get rid of. And it's literally killing us. The World Health Organization just last year announced that not only diseases of despair are the strongest rising category of illness that we face, but that suicides kill more people than all wars and natural disasters combined. So a potential solution to that is realizing, how can we change the channel? How can we get out of that state where we are forever stressed and never getting to recover, and actually have an ability to face the challenges of life strongly and clearly, and then be able to recover deeply and fully. And so that's what a lot of our work is about, is helping people basically reclaim their neurophysiology, or how their bodies and brains shape and affect our hearts and minds.
So you talk about these 4 ways that we can utilize pharmacology, and there's the other 3, if you could just discuss them.
Sure. Well, it's a really exciting time right now, and that is what my writing partner, Stephen Kotler, and I covered in our book last year called Stealing Fire, which was that there is an intersection of 4 major cultural trends right now: technology, psychology, pharmacology, and neurobiology. And what is happening is that at that crossroads, we are gaining more insights into who we are and to how we work than we've ever had before. And so, the realm of, for instance, fMRIs and EEGs, that's a technological insight that is allowing us insight into our neurobiology. We're able to see what's happening in our brains and our bodies in real time, and we're able to correlate that with psychology and how we feel or what we're thinking. And those overlaps are happening in every direction, and it's given us insight into what amounts to pretty much the largest global economy that no one's ever heard of, what we would call the altered states economy. And that's basically all the different ways that people around the world spend time and money trying to change that channel of awareness, trying to get out of 21st century normal and trying to experience states of mind and states of being that are more pleasurable, that are more rejuvenative, or more restorative. And most of us don't always do that very healthily or happily. Some of it is addictive, some of it is distractive. This is licit and illicit drugs, this is gambling, this is online pornography, this is internet shopping, this is a host of self-help and personal growth. It's a whole lot of things we're trying. But when you add all those numbers up, it's $4 trillion, which is a quarter of the United States GDP, and that's larger than the GDP of almost every other nation on Earth. And so we're spending that much every year just trying to get out of our own way, just trying to get out of our own heads. And that is both a sort of a stark testament to how acute our pain is, but also an incredible opportunity for governments, for communities, for companies and entrepreneurs to say there is a massive market there to be served if we can use those 4 forces, the technology, psychology, pharmacology, neurobiology, and put them to good use.
So how does this play out in Africa, where Africa has as much energy as Spain, and we're dealing with infrastructural issues? How do people then begin to focus on performing optimally?
Well, I mean, I think the simplest is we have to start where people are, and the questions in Silicon Valley are not the questions of sub-Saharan Africa, and we have to be able to meet people's needs. And so there's an awful lot of the basics. There's an awful lot of just the simple of food, clothing, water, shelter, safety, connection, belonging, that are really vital and important not to be skipped. But that said, the ability for people to be able to shift their state of mind and being with simple techniques, with something as simple as breathing and learning to vary the rate, depth, and frequency of our breath when we are scared or stressed, or and how can we downregulate our nervous system so that we can be skillful, or how can we actually increase our intensity on the verge of something like a track event or some kind of physical or performance, or going up on stage and giving a talk. How can we even use breath to provide ourselves access to more transcendental insights. That would be a simple one. Movement and actual embodiment. Most traditional cultures were highly active. We never sat in chairs like this. We never sat in front of television sets or computer screens or cars. People moved, walked, ran, squatted. So just full embodiment. There's an entire discipline called embodied cognition, which again just shows the direct correlations between our physicality and our intellectual and cognitive abilities. So breath, movement, music. Music even precedes, according to some scholars, precedes our actually ability for spoken word and speech. So way back in human history, we're engaging with rhythms and melody before we even articulated language. So these are simple ways that are timeless, they are free, and they are really at the source of most cultures around the world. And by revitalizing them, when we get off looking at our screens and scrolling with our thumbs, we stand up and we move and we act and connect together. Those are some of the best ways. And when that happens, there is a heightened level of three things. We tend to be able to heal our trauma more effectively because it resets our nervous system and lets us release things that we're holding. It lets us connect to greater information and inspiration. So our lateral thinking, our insights, kind of our aha moments tend to go up when we can shift how our bodies and brains are working. And then connection and collaboration. Because when we do these things together, we invariably make things. We are social primates. And when we feel at our best and we connect with each other, we get to perform at our best and do more things that the world needs together.
So would you say there were more flow moments in the past than there are now because there's more distractions?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think it's entirely possible that a simpler, less overwhelming life leads to greater experiences of immersion in the moment. And at the same time, there's the advent of technologies, whether it's virtual reality and augmented reality, or whether it's smart technologies and biofeedback that helps us understand what's going on inside our bodies and brains and lets us steer it as a result. So those things are sort of happening in opposite directions. So things are sort of getting exponentially worse for that kind of project, and they're getting exponentially better at the same time. And which of those curves determines our future, I think, is very much up to us.